Hey everyone, Scott here, and today we're going to be taking a look at my foil leader collection. As of right now, as I'm making this video, I consider this collection to be complete, just based on what I'm trying to collect. Everything I want is kind of in this binder here, all the versions that I'm trying to get. Obviously some people would look at this video and say this isn't a complete foil leader collection because I'm missing like pre-release stamped cards and winners cards and things like that. Ultimately I'm just not looking to collect those kind of cards. Ultimately it does come down to the cost. I mean, this collection itself is kind of at the upper limit of what I would be willing to spend on cards that 99% of them I'm never actually going to use. Very few of the foil leaders, maybe a dozen throughout this whole thing, have I ever actually used, and I don't really plan to use most of these. And all these cards themselves cost me, you know, a few £100 over the course of about 2.5 years. If I was going to start looking to get, like I say, pre-release stamped cards, judge stamped, I'm not sure if there are judge stamped leaders, or just any kind of stamped leader or winners version of a leader, or the metal versions they give out. If I was trying to collect those as well, that would take this kind of collection's price into the thousands, tens of thousands maybe even, and that's just not something I can really afford to spend on cards that, like I say, I'm not ever really planning on using. I know it's been a while, it's been almost a year since the first video that I did about this collection. I meant to do videos along the way to kind of update how the collection was going, but I just found myself in this constant cycle of having new cards on their way to me, and I was like, oh, I don't want to make a video because I got new cards coming, I'll wait till those arrive. But then when those cards would arrive, I would immediately, first thing I would do is I would look up the prices of the cards I still needed to get, and I would buy a few more, and I just ended up never having a situation where I didn't have more cards on the way. So that is why I didn't get around to doing any kind of updates between the first time I showed this collection off and now that it's kind of complete. Obviously it's only complete for the time being. Obviously there's going to be a new set out early March, which is going to have, you know, 10, 11, 12 new leaders in it. I can't remember exactly how many are in that one. And that's going to be more leaders for me to collect. But as of right now, with all the sets that have been released up to now and all the promos, this is a complete set. In the first video I had it in the Ultimate Box binder. The collection kind of outgrew that. It was getting to the point where there was too many pages. So I've just switched over to, like, this is just like a generic A4 binder. Is it A4? Yeah, A4 presentation binder. It's got a pocket on the front where you can put something in there, and I've just put this playmat, I guess, from one of the Universe 6 starter decks probably, or maybe the expert deck. So yeah, I'm going to jump in now and start to look at the cards themselves. You know what, I was thinking I was going to do it like this and have both pages, but I think I will just move the binder back and forth so we can focus on a single page at a time, and I'm just going to adjust that down a little bit, get a better look at them. Okay, so the way I have the binder laid out is I start with like the expert deck, then starter deck, then expansions, just because I do from time to time pull out a leader from this collection. Like if I'm going to use you know, a Mass Saiyan deck, I will come and I'll get this out of the binder. So rather than putting these kind of along with the sets that they were released with, I find it a lot easier if I just keep them all here at the front. I can very easily get to them and find them. I don't have to remember which starter deck or expert deck came out with which set. I'm sure to some people it would make more sense to have these alongside the set they came out with, but for my personal, especially when we get to the expansions, they didn't really come out. They came out in between sets technically, so yeah, this way just makes more sense to me. I start with the 3 expert deck leaders because they're not making any more of these. If I had these after the starter deck, then I'd have to constantly move them every time a new starter deck was released, but having them here at the front, it means I know exactly where they are and I'm not going to have to move everything else after it onto a new page when new ones are released. If they do go back to the expert decks, then I guess I'll give them their own page, but I wasn't going to do it just for 3 cards. It didn't seem worth it. So yeah, here we have the 3 expert decks. So I believe these were set 7, 8 and 9, so it's pretty easy to remember, having said all that about not putting them with the sets. But yeah, these were kind of around the time I started playing, and I grabbed them obviously because I was grabbing all the starter decks and expert decks at that point. Yeah, not too much to say about this page. I mean, this was technically the first foil leader I ever had, is the Massin, because I started with this starter deck. I started around just after the release of set 6, so this was like an older starter deck at that point. In terms of how I have them stored in here, I have them in... originally I just had them in these... I believe these are Dragon Shield Smoke like side loading, because these were like the cheapest like inner sleeve or perfect fit sleeve, whatever you want to call them, that I could find, and I needed a lot of them. I needed a few hundred of them for this collection, and even more for going ahead in the future when new sets are released. So I just went with the cheapest ones available, but then they were like still a bit too loose in the pages, and every time you turn a page it would like want to slide out. So I ended up sticking them in, again, these Dragon Shield Jet Black, just because it matches the pages, which funnily enough are also Dragon Shield. That wasn't intentional. I didn't plan to do everything in the binder basically be in Dragon Shield, but like the inner sleeves are the cheapest. These binder pages were the only ones I could find in like a pack of 50 for like a reasonable price. I think there were some Ultimate Guard ones knocking about, but they were like crazy expensive compared to the Dragon Shield. So again, and then in terms of why I went for like these Dragon Shield Jet Black ones, these are sized for Dragon Shield sleeves, these pockets, and I find they tend to be a bit taller than some of the other like black outer sleeves that I had, so that's why I went for the Dragon Shield. Some of these aren't actually in, I don't think this is going to be one of them. There are some later on, it's not super clear, but there are some that are in clear Dragon Shields, and there are some that are in some other types of black sleeves that I had knocking about, just because I haven't got around to buying a full set of these black Dragon Shields for every card in here. That's probably the next big thing I'm going to do to kind of upgrade this collection. So yeah, unfortunately it's kind of hard for it to come across on camera without like taking every single card out and kind of shaking it about so you can see that it's foil. So you just, I guess with these starter deck leaders, they're only available in foil, but when we get later into the collection, you'll just have to take my word for it. These are all foil. I'm not going to take every single card out and wave them about, because that'll be a bit much. I will take a few out if I have something to say about it, but yeah. So 3 expert decks. These are the first 6 starter deck leaders on this page with them. Need to give a shout out to Elliot from my locals, who helped me out with a few of the starter deck leaders that I was missing, like this one. I think the Brody on the next page may have even been this Piccolo as well. I guess he had some going spare, and he was kind enough to give them to me. So then we have the next lot of starter deck leaders. This takes us all the way up through the ones that were released alongside set 10. Down here, the Vegex is the last of those, and then we have the 2 kind of newest ones here that were released with set 15, I want to say, or it might have been 14. I genuinely don't remember, so like I was saying before about trying to remember which leader came out with which set. I can't even remember when the most recent ones came out with, so that is why I keep them separate here at the front. Yeah, so I did end up having to go to a new page with these two being released. So that's why there's a big blank gap there before we get to the expansion leaders. So here we have the 5 from the Ultimate box. I always wanted to try this Zeno out with it having the ability to avoid, or not avoid, but ignore specified cost on universe cards. But I believe you can't run extra cards unless they have the universe skill, which I think is one of the biggest downsides of this. And I guess technically by that same logic you wouldn't be able to run unisons in this deck, and unisons being such an important part of the game now, unless they do release a unison with the universe special trait. I don't think I'm going to be getting around to playing that leader anytime soon. Similar thing with this Toa. Well, no, it's not similar, it's just another kind of leader I always wanted to make a deck for, but at this point it's just like other decks that I'd rather be playing than trying to go back and do a leader as old as this one. This was from the first anniversary box, which came out not long after I started playing. And so I always wanted this leader around that time to like make a deck with it, but I just never got around to it. And then when I did get it for the collection, it was kind of too late at that point. I was just like, I'd moved on. I think the game had moved on as well, to the point that this leader isn't like particularly good anymore, I don't think. Like Fringe maybe, but it's not. I don't know, like I say, there's other decks I'd rather be playing at the moment. So down here we have the 2 expansion Surge leaders. These are the unerrated versions. I don't know that if the ratters are on the front or the back. These were reprinted in the revision pack with the like updated text, but those are non-foil, which is why I still have these original foil versions in here. If they ever do the errated version in like a foil, I'd probably put them alongside these. I probably wouldn't remove these just because they've been errated. I'd probably consider it to be like an alternate art or something and have both versions, but yeah, so those are the Surge leaders. Then we have the leader, or the first leader from the Unison expansions. The Topo up here being the other one. I have used this Topo actually a few times. Really interesting skill there, restricting both players to only having one battle card that they can play each turn, as long as you have the Unison out. So yeah, I've tried this with a few different like builds, and it's one I always keep my eye on. Maybe I'll go back to it one day if a good kind of strategy comes out around it. And then we have another leader that I've used quite a lot, especially when it first came out. I played this deck for months. Is the Agents of Destruction leader. This is the only one of the anniversary box leaders that I actually pulled. I actually pulled 2 of these because I got like 5 boxes of that particular anniversary box. I kind of panicked because I'd heard there was going to be like a shortage, so I ordered a few more from somewhere else in case my first lot didn't come through. And then it turned out there was no shortage really to speak of, and I ended up with more boxes than I originally planned. But yeah, so 5 boxes. I got 2 of this leader, which is about average. I think they're 1 per every 2 box. There's like 2 in a case, or is it 1 in a case? Can't remember off the top of my head. If you know, let me know in the comment section down below. But yeah, so that's another one that I used. In fact, all the leaders on this page I've used at some point or another. Like I used this Toa when it first came out with the... I do like leaders that kind of ignore specified costs. I've definitely played a lot of those. I'd say I played most of those. And even the ones I haven't played are ones that I definitely were interesting to me. I definitely thought about playing. But yeah, I played this... Toa and Metricabra, I guess technically on this side it is. I played this leader for a few weeks, maybe like a month and a half when the deck first came out. The Ultimate deck, I believe this was. And there's going to be another one of those coming up soon, so that'll probably be the next card to add to this page if I remember correctly. That's the next expansion with a leader in it. And then we have the most recent anniversary box, the third anniversary box leader, the Super Saiyan 4 Bardock. This is another one I've been playing a lot of since it came out. It's been the main deck. I've been kind of playing this and Shadow Dragons. The Zeno Shadow Dragons have been the two decks I've been playing for the past few months. So, yeah, another good one there. This one isn't in a proper sleeve because I've only just put it back in here for this video. As soon as I've done recording this video, I'm taking this back out and it's going back with the deck. So yeah, that's it for the expansions. Then we get into set 1. And so on this page, and for the first set and set 2 as well, we're going to see some of these leaders are actually non-foil. Like this hit here is a non-foil one. It's just because these leaders were never made available in foil. I believe in set 1 and set 2 the commons and uncommons were not, none of them were available in foil. So with there being like a leader at common, uncommon and rare, it's only the rare ones that were actually foil. And it was that way for, like I say, set 1, set 2. So these are only really in here as placeholders for if these leaders ever get released in foil. Although to be fair, especially with these two here, like the Beerus and the Hit, these have been rebooted, so I don't know that they're ever gonna do these as like in their original art foil at least. Well, I suppose if they do them as alt art foils, then I would just put them in here rather than these. But I just don't know that they're ever going to do these original versions in foil. Like, I think if they were going to do an alternate art of, say, this Beerus, they would do it of the reboot leader rather than this version. So I probably should take these out and just have the foil ones like all on a single page or whatever. But just in case they do something for, like, I don't know, maybe the 5th anniversary or something, they do like a reprint of set 1, but you could have the commons and uncommons as foils. Maybe they would do something like that. So that is why I do have kind of these placeholders. This one here is supposed to be the Goku. It's the one where there's the coming soon version, like the version where it has a big gold stamp that says coming soon. I'm not looking to get that version of the card because the actual card itself is non-foil. It's just a gold stamp on it that is foil. I'm pretty sure I do have a copy of just the regular non-foil as like a placeholder, but I just don't know where it is at the moment. Yeah, so that's why there's this gap here. This should be the, I believe it's the Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Down here we have the first of like this alternate arts we're going to see. This is from the first Collector's Selection Volume 1. Yeah, so they reprinted this legendary Super Saiyan Broly, which the original version was already rare, so it was already available as a foil. But I suppose that's one of the few kind of set 1 leaders that are still viable, I guess. A lot of these really aren't good enough anymore. So I'm not surprised that was one of the ones they reprinted. Although I believe this Frieza, this is another deck that I've played quite a lot of. It is with this set 1 Golden Frieza. This is another one that is still viable, just because it works with cheap Frieza Army cards, which they're constantly printing more of. It's like 1 cost Frieza Armies or Frieza Army cards you can get out for 1 cost. Essentially become free with this guy, because then you just KO them and you can restand the energy and draw 1 on the front or 2 on the back, and that's just, or wait, is it 2 energy in 1 card? Yeah, it's 2 energy in 1 card. So on the back side you could play a 2 cost Frieza Army and KO it and get your energy back, draw a card. So yeah, it's still viable, still a deck. I mean, I didn't start playing this until probably about set 9 or something like that. So But even now, even like 6 sets later, I think it is still a viable deck. So I wouldn't mind if they reprinted that as an alternate art at some point in the future. Yeah, so that's set 1. Then next up we have set 2. See up here we have another one of the Collector Selection Volume 1 reprints, alternate art reprints. So the fronts are, well, it's hard to see because I got it in this like smoke sleeve, but the art on the front is basically the same. It's only the back side which is actually different artwork wise, but yeah. Interesting effect they did with these Collector Selection leaders where they have an outline the same colour as the colour of the cards. So like with this one it's red. The Broly we just looked at from set 1, the outline is in green. That's something they've only seemed to have done in the Collector Selection. I was wondering if they were going to do it just going forward with something like the Mythic Booster, but they didn't, and we'll see that with some of the Mythic Booster cards a bit later on in this video. But yeah, that's really the only thing about any of these, only significant thing about any of these cards on that page. So on this side, so this is just a common green leader I think that I'm missing, so it's not a foil one. I'm not even sure what leader it is. Nothing more to say about this side really. I know someone at my locals who plays a lot of Metacooler, but I've never thought to try the deck out myself. And now we come to the first set where every leader was available in foil. They are still all the different rarities, like oh wait, no, they went down to 2 of each colour, not 3. I was thinking there was still 3 for some reason. Yeah, so I believe the first one is rare and the second one is, let me have a look at this Dr. Mio a second. This one is an uncommon, so it's rare and then uncommon. So, and I'm pretty sure that pattern holds true for the whole set. So I have the Pan, the Boo, Vegito, this Bardock, and the Mirror here are all the rares. Out of all the ones on this page, the only one I've actually played any decent amount of is the Pan. When I first started playing the game, was still a leader that was like usable at that point. So I played it a few times, kind of early on. We have also the Super Saiyan 3 Goku leader here, which I believe is still the only leader that's... No. When I first made this video, this was the only leader to have been banned, but since then we've had 2 more, 2 reboot leaders banned, so that goes to show I was going to repeat what I said in the first video, but that's no longer true at this point. So, yeah. I guess that's not as significant anymore. So yeah, that's it for most of this set, and then on the other side of the page we have just the Xenotrunks on his lonesome. Part of the reason I kind of keep it to 1 and have a break wherever possible is just so if they do reprint, say, one of these cards, I don't have to, like the way I had it before, I believe I had it that the new set would start immediately after the last one. The issue with that becomes, like I say, if they reprint, say, this Pan leader, then I have to move all the other cards after it in order to fit it in next to the original artwork. And that's much easier to do if the next set is not immediately afterwards, because then I would have to move literally every other card in the binder after it out of the way. So that's why, like here, even though it's just 1 card on its own, I will still just leave this big gap. Gives me plenty of room for if I have to move any of those in the future. Then we come on to the first of the, what were these called? Theme boosters. So we had the Tournament of Power was the first of the theme boosters. I will warn you, if you are planning on, if you think about getting your own full leader collection after seeing this video, some of the ones from this set are quite up there in price, especially these 3 Universe 7 Saiyan leaders, I guess you would say. The Goku in particular is quite expensive compared to a lot of the other cards. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that the difference in price between this and like the cheapest foil leader you can get is quite drastic. Might not be too expensive compared to like other single cards you can buy, like secret rares and things like that. You definitely can spend more on a single card, but yeah, if you look around and at some of the prices of these and you think, oh, it's not too expensive to get a foil leader collection, you do have to bear in mind there are some that, and I will try and point them out as I go through, there are some that are significantly more expensive than some of the others. So yeah, these two in particular, I think the Gohan wasn't too bad. The other, I guess, significant thing was this Ribrianne. I ordered it off of eBay, and this is something that happened a few times, where I ordered a card or a few foil leaders for the collection, and they just went missing in the post. Like this original Ribrianne that I ordered never made it to me. Obviously I got a refund, but then I had to go and try and buy it from somewhere else, and I couldn't get it for as good of a deal. So that was the thing that happened a few times, where I would get like the last copy of a foil leader off of a website or some individual seller on like TCG Player or eBay or Card Market. It would go missing in the post, and then I'd have to end up paying more for it off someone else. So that's another thing you need to bear in mind if you are thinking of doing this yourself. You are liable to have cards go missing before they get to you, and so you may end up paying a bit more for a leader than you originally expected to. But yeah, that's it for Tournament of Power, and then we get on to set 4. This is one I messed up, I'll show you in a second, but this set, I believe the only one of these that I pulled was the Great Egg Goku up here. I think when I first started playing, before I even knew about Card Market and things like that, I just grabbed a bunch of random packs from my local store, or one of my local stores, including, I must have got at least one pack of set 4, and I pulled this. The rest are ones that I bought for the collection, with the exception of actually this Lord Slug. I did actually play this deck. I think this is the only deck from set 4 I've ever played, is this Lord Slug deck. I actually took it to a tournament and did pretty well. I finished like 8th, I want to say, of like 32 people. And that was around the time of set 8, set 9 maybe. So this was still like, it was I think the first big tournament after Mercenary Tau got banned. So I wanted to try out like a hand destruction deck, because up to that point hand destruction just wasn't viable at like actual best of 3 tournaments, just because pretty much everyone had at least 1 or 2 copies of Tau in the sideboard to bring in against hand destruction, which at that point there was no point even taking a hand destruction deck. But yeah, that's sort of it for set 4. When I was originally putting them in these new pages in this new binder, I messed up and didn't leave enough space. I think I put them all on this one page, and there was one, I think it was this Goku, I was still missing. I didn't realise. So that is why there's a big gap here, is because I have to put an extra page for the mirror. There's not anything that's supposed to be there. I just messed that up, and I didn't want to go through and move everything over a page, so it's going to stay that way for the foreseeable future. Then we get on to Tournament of not Tournament of Power, World Martial Arts Tournament, which is the second theme booster. So this Jackie Chun deck is the first one that I ever built that wasn't the Mass Saiyan. It was like the first non-starter deck that I built. I decided to go with this Jackie Chun because, like I was just saying, I bought some random packs from my locals, and I pulled like both halves of the Jackie Chun and Goku, Kid Goku like thing that you can do with this deck. And so I ended up thinking, hey, that looks pretty cool. I went ahead and bought everything I needed for the deck, minus the leader actually. At that point I didn't see the point of buying a foil leader, but then Joel from my locals saw that I was playing Jackie Chun. He had the foil leader, he just gave it to me. So that's what this one, I believe this is the original one that he gave me. We also, right at the end of the video, I do have another copy of this leader that I pulled way after the fact, but I believe this is the one that he gave me rather than the one that I pulled. Other than that, not much to say. I didn't play any of these other decks. I was always interested in Announcer, but then the rebooted one came out and I played a few games of that. Thought it was okay, but there was just other decks I'd rather be playing at the time. That's one thing I should probably point out with the reboots. I don't put them next to the original. Maybe it would look nicer that way, but the reboots are either part of like set 9 or their promos, so I'd rather put them with set 9 or the promos. So that is why they're not. That's why the Announcer reboot isn't here next to the original. So then we come on to set 5. I believe the only ones of these that I pulled was this. No, tell a lie. I did pull this Super 17 here. Also, I should point out, I believe this is the first set where we get, let me just double check. Yeah, this is the first set where we get the shatter foiling on the rare leaders. This was still at the point where leaders were available as rares, and all the foil rares had the shatter foiling effect. Hopefully that's coming through kind of on the camera. All this Yamcha leader way after the fact. I forget exactly where I was, but I was in a store that had some Dragon Ball stuff, and I just on a whim decided to buy some packs. So I got a pack of set 5 because I was surprised to see they had set 5, because I also got a pack of set 10. And I believe those are the only 2 packs I bought at the time. But I pulled this Yamcha, and I pulled the Yamcha, the red Yamcha leader from set 10 as well in those 2 packs. So that was a pretty odd coincidence. So yeah, that is, those 2 I believe are the only ones of these that I pulled. This Happy Holidays, or Happy Holiday rather, leader came out with some gift collection that I wasn't around at the time, so I didn't get it at the time, but that is, like, I believe as of when I last looked, that was the most expensive from set 5. So something to bear in mind if you want to build a foil leader collection like this. You'd be paying a bit more for that leader in particular. Arguably, with the criteria I gave before about what I'm trying to collect, that this isn't necessarily something because it's like got the extra thing on it, but it wasn't that expensive, so I decided to get it. Like I said, the reason I'm not getting like winners versions of cards and things like that, which arguably are the same type of card because they're like alternate art with like an extra, usually just has like a winner symbol on it or whatever. This was reasonable in price, whereas some of those winner ones are kind of unreasonable in price because there's so few of them out there. And I wouldn't want to get just some and not have others, so I think it's easier for me to just not get any in that kind of case. But yeah, and then we have the, I don't know why I took that out, but we have the Black Mass Saiyan leader up there. Then we have Clash of Fates. So this Goku here was the last card I needed for the collection. It literally turned up this morning as I'm recording this video. This card just showed up today, and the first thing I did was sit down to make this video, because this is how long I've been planning to kind of get this collection to a point where I can make a video about it again. I've been waiting a few months at this point. So yeah, this is also probably the most expensive single card in the collection. I believe I paid 50 euro for it. I think it was 50 euro for this one single card, which is something you need to bear in mind. It was even more expensive at other places, like other websites like Troll and Toad and things like that. It was going for like $85 or something like that. So yeah, that is one card you need to bear in mind. I remember when I first decided to actually commit and make a full foil leader collection. There was like only one listed on Card Market, and it was like for €100. So actually, only paying 50 for it right now isn't that bad compared to when I first started this collection. A lot of this collection, I'd say maybe about half of it, I got done before the big price spike at the beginning of 2020, or maybe like late 2019, when like the prices on all TCGs pretty much shot up because of, I forget exactly what caused the price spike, but yeah, about half of this collection I already had done at that point. So that's why I kind of continued on with it. So a lot of these leaders, well, about half of these leaders I got for, like this Bardock is one, like I got it for like maybe 50 cents before the price spike, and then looking afterwards, it was like the cheapest place to get it was like $8 or something like that. So yeah, when that price spike happened, it affected the foil leaders, especially a lot of the older ones, and a lot of them haven't returned to their kind of pre-price spike prices. I think some of these are still quite expensive. So that's just something you need to bear in mind. Like, a lot of these older leaders tend to be the more expensive ones if you are going to go ahead and try and make a collection like this. So then we move on to set 6. I believe the only one of these that I pulled was this one. This is another one I've had knocking about for ages. This is the one that starts as Goku and Vegeta, I believe, and then they fuse into Gogeta. This is another one that, like I was saying before, in my like little binder of foil cards when I first started playing, that's one I remember being in there as well. This Frieza leader, Golden Frieza leader. This is the first leader that I ever went out of my way to buy because I wanted to use it with a deck. Like I said before, with the Jackie Chun, I didn't really feel the need to buy a foil leader, but then I saw how cheap the actual foil leaders were. I think this is another one that was like 50 cents at the time, and I was buying all the other stuff for the deck that I needed to complete it. And I thought, well, if the foil leader is only 50 cents, I may as well get it, and I can use a nice foil leader with the deck. So yeah, I believe that is actually the only set 6 leader I've ever used. I know this Goku here was really popular when I first started playing the game. There was a lot of people a few people at my locals who were running different versions of this kind of skillless deck. I never ended up getting around to building anything with it, although I was kind of interested when I first started playing. But yeah, I think, like I say, this Golden Frieza is the only one that I've ever used from set 6, and I started using it around the time of set 7 when the 7-drop Kaioken Goku came out. I was using the version of the deck where you go Chain Attack Trunks into the 6-drop Babidi into whatever you could hit off the top 7. You'd hope you'd get one of the 7-drop Kaioken Gokus that I was talking about, at least one of them. There was a few other hits you could have potentially off that top 7, but yeah, that was a deck I played for a good while there. And then we have the Super Shenron. This is another one that's been errated and reprinted in the revision pack, but again, the revision pack was only non-foil, so that's why I don't have the errated version next to it. Then we come on to set 7. So this Vegeta was the second to last leader I needed, and this one I was able to get off eBay for about 30 something pound, I believe. So that's probably about 40-ish euro/dollar. I'm not 100% on the price conversions off the top of my head, but yeah, so that is another one that is pretty pricey. You need to be on the lookout for that if you are if you're thinking about doing your own foil leader collection, that is one you want to kind of keep your eye on. See if you can get it for a pretty good price. Personally, I've never used any leaders in set 7. Like I said, I was playing the set 6 Golden Freezer leader when set 7 came out, so nothing really to say about any of those. Then we come to set 8. This Bomber leader I pulled. It's also I pulled it at the pre-release. This was still when we had like the specific pre-release kits. And one of my packs had this Bomber in it, and I used it in that pre-release. And it's probably the leader from set 8 that I've used the most. I've used Hatchak there a lot. I used it quite recently actually with some of the Thwart and the Dark Empire stuff in there. That was pretty interesting kind of version of the deck, but then I moved on to the Super Sinful Bardock deck, so haven't really been back to it since. So this is another one. I think this Goku and one of the other ones from this set was part of a order that went missing. I had to rebuy them, so yeah, that's all for set 8. Then we have set 9, or the set 9 set leaders. We see on the other side of this page we have the reboot leaders. This Goku here is the most expensive from set 9. It's also, when I was looking, checking on the prices of this one, because again, this is probably like the third to last foil leader I bought. The pre-released version of this, I think the cheapest one I could find was like literally $1,000 or something. So that is why I don't collect pre-release leaders, because like this was expensive. This was it was expensive compared to, like I say, a lot of the other foil leaders. This was like a few dozen pounds or euros or dollars. I can't exactly remember which currency I was buying it in, but yeah, the prices on the pre-release version of this is insane, and that just kind of reinforced the idea in my head that I'm never going to try and collect the full pre-release leader collection, because that is like an insane step up in price from like a couple dozen pounds or dollars or euros to like literally 1,000. It's pretty crazy. Other than that, not too much to say about this set. This is actually another one along with set 7 that I just didn't ever play anything. I think I said before, around the time set 9 came out is when I was playing set 1 Golden Freezer, so I just never got around to playing any of these decks. I did think about trying to do this boot here. This is a deck that fell off really quickly actually. I feel like this was like one of the strongest decks at the time that set 9 came out, or at least it felt like it. And then as soon as set 10 came out, it just went off a cliff. And it just didn't see any more play really. I think the free counterplays really hit this deck hard, especially something like Charismatic Villain. Before with Vegeta the Cruel, if your opponent wanted to keep it open so they could hit your boo chain like turn 2, they would have to charge a multicolour in rest mode turn 1 and then do nothing turn 2 in order to have Vegeta the Cruel up to be available to them. But then as soon as set 10 came out, you had Demigra, Green Unison and Frieza Charismatic Villain. Like your opponent could play the Unison turn 1, plus it up, maybe even attack with it if they're going second, and then they have Frieza Charismatic Villain open, and they can immediately, as soon as you start to go into the boot chain, they can just KO it. So yeah, I think that is a big part of what killed that deck off so quickly. Just that counterplay that it's just so easy to get turn 2 when you want to start doing all the and especially because you have to have no cards in hand with this deck. It means like if they do kill the chain when you're halfway through, you're just done for the turn. So yeah. Then we come into the first lot of reboot leaders. I believe these were all the first reboot leaders. I believe these were before Actually, I could be wrong on that. It's been a while. I forget whether the Soul Striker reboot was before these or these were before the Soul Striker reboot. But yeah, like I said before, with the set 1 Hit and Beerus, these are like the versions. If they're going to do alternate arts, I would expect them to do them of these. Then we have the, I guess now it's the second leader ever to get banned. I guess technically it was the first leader to ever get banned in Best of 1. Only in Best of 1, and then it was just outright banned after that. And then we have obviously the Metacooler reboot there. Here is the Yamcha leader that I was talking about before with the other one. Yeah, looking at it, set 10, this is another set where I just didn't play any of the leaders from this set. I've never played a single game with any of these. I guess I was probably still playing set 1 Golden Freezer at that point. Maybe with just some of the updated pieces like the Freezer Charismatic Villain that I was just talking about. Then we come on to set 11. And actually, looking at it, this is another set where I just have not played any game with any of these leaders. I have no idea what I would have been playing around this time. Maybe this is still when I was playing Agents of Destruction, so I don't really have much to say about any of these. Other than this was the kind of era when I started accidentally double buying foil leaders. Or at least that's when I really started to do it, because like this Garlic Jr. I bought a double of, probably a few more on this page. At one point or another I accidentally bought them again after already having them. It was my mistake. I just had a list of all the ones I needed and I kept forgetting to take them off when I bought them, and then I would look through the list and go, right, I'll buy that one. It was one that I already had. Luckily, when I say I double bought this Garlic Jr., it was probably less than €1 each off card market, so it's not like breaking the bank or anything. It's not like you know, if I double bought like the Vegito leader that I was just talking about being so expensive. It was just like little cheap leaders, and I guess now I have a spare in case anything ever happens. And then we get on to set 12, and looking at it again, this is another set where I've not played any of these leaders. So that's like what, 4 sets in a row? From set 9, 10, 11, 12, yeah, 4 sets in a row that I just didn't play any of the leaders from the set. I did almost build this Gogeta a few weeks ago, when I was talking about how I was using the Hatchak with the thwarting package kind of in it. I was originally going to do it with this Gogeta leader, but I ended up trying it with Hatchak instead, so I very almost played that leader there. And then here we have Truman Salsa. I guess, like I said before, these are the clear Dragon Shields. I think more and more of the ones on these pages are going to be in those clear ones. Then we have, actually it's 5 sets in a row, because I didn't play any of these Evolution Booster leaders either. I was very tempted with this Bulma, because like I said before, it's one way you can ignore specified costs, and that's something I always like in a leader. But yeah, I just never got around to playing any of these leaders for like 5 sets in a row. So you can see what I said about like a lot of these cards that I bought I've just never used and probably never will use. Like I really don't imagine I'm ever going to go back and play like this Whis leader from set 12. So really this is a card I've only got for the collection. And so yeah, if I was getting pre-release ones, it would be even more expensive for cards that I'm just not going to use. So I can't really justify it. But then we come on to set 13, which is the first set in a while where we actually have leaders that I've used. In fact, I've used 2 from this set. I've used the King Cold. In fact, I still have this deck made, and this leader isn't in a sleeve because I'm going to put it back with the deck after I finish this video. And the same thing is true for Mechicabra on this side. So yeah, set 13, it was a pretty good set for me. It was the set where I pulled every one of the 3 secret rares in 2 boxes and some expansions. So yeah, set 13, really good set for me. Then we have set 14, where the only one from this set that I've played is, and again, not even in a sleeve because I'm going to put it back with the deck, is the Black Xeno Shadow Dragons deck. So it's one of the 2 main decks I've been playing lately alongside the Bardock. But yeah, this Boo leader, I actually pulled 2 of this in pre-release. I ended up with at least 2 pre-release packs, you know, the 2 card packs, and I was lucky enough to get a Boo in each of those. And then we come on to the latest set as of this release, which is set 14. Or the latest set to be released as of the time of making this video. I don't know what I was saying before. So this is another one. I haven't really used any of the leaders from this, with one exception, which is this Vegeta. We usually do a thing, or lately we've been doing a thing at one of our locals instead of a pre-release, because I'm not really able to hold pre-releases. One of our weekly organised play events will just play with cards from the new set. So, and in that case I played this Vegeta deck with some of the Great Apes. That's the word I'm struggling to think of. Some of the Great Apes that you can use with that deck. And funnily enough, I hadn't actually pulled even a non-foil version of this leader, so again, Elliot had to give me just the regular non-foil one for me to even be able to play that deck. So it's weird. I a box and like 2 premium packs, and for the life of me did not pull a single one of that Vegeta. And then in terms, got about 4 pages there before we get to the promos, so there's plenty of space. Right, the next 4 sets probably, well, 3 sets, 2-3 sets maybe, depending how many leaders are in each set. So then we come on to the promos. Now with the promos, because like with the sets it's very easy to, like, well, maybe not with that one, but like, or this one even, but like here, it's very easy to leave a big space, so if any of these leaders get reprinted as an alternate art, I can just very quickly move one out of the way. But you can't really do that with promos because I try and keep them all continuous. So what I've been doing is just putting 8 on a page and leaving a blank space down here in the bottom right. So if any, like say one of the leaders on this page, say this Caulifla, gets reprinted alternate art, then I only got to move a few cards. I don't have to move every promo in the binder after it. And in fact we'll actually see where I've had to do that on some of the upcoming pages. But yeah, this is, I believe these are the first 2 sets of leaders from the original draft boxes, draft box 1 and 2. It's different to the way they are now, which they've been doing from I think 4 onwards. Originally the packs in the draft box were just packs of, like, the first draft box was packs of set 1 and set 2. It was like half set 1, half set 2. And then you would have 4 leaders in the box, but they would all be the same leader. So like, there was 4 different leaders, 1 in each colour. But if you open the box, everyone would get the same one, which is kind of a stupid way of doing it, really, especially if we are going to do a draft. It means everyone's potentially going to use the same leader. But yeah, so these are all the leaders from the first 2 draft box, because this was still at the point where the black hadn't been introduced yet, so there was only 1 of each colour, and obviously they're in colour order, so there's red, blue, green, yellow, and same with these ones here. Have the original Mecha Frieza. This is the one that eventually got rebooted. Yeah, and so we move on here to this page, and like I was saying just then, I originally had a blank space here, but then but actually this is interesting because 2 of the ones on this page got reprinted, so my little system of keeping the one blank space here didn't actually work, because one on this page got reprinted as well at the same time in the Mythic booster, so I did end up having to move everything else after it. So up here we have the Broly and Gogeta. I believe these are from, they re-released some of the Dragon Ball Z movies in the lead up to the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. So they did like movies starring Broly and Gogeta, because obviously they were going to be in Dragon Ball Super Broly. So, and that's where these two originally were from. I think you would get them for attending the movies. You'd get like as a way to try and get people who are interested in Dragon Ball to get into the card game. And then these were both reprinted in the Mythic booster. So you can see here, this is the Mythic booster version of the Broly, and then we have the Gogeta down there. And then we get into the third draft box leaders here, the Vegeta through to the Goten. Then we have the two Janembas, which, well, it's the same Janemba but two different versions. Not sure where this came from, whether they... It can't be from the same time Fusion Reborn was re-released, because it would be before the draft box. So I'm not sure where this leader was printed, but then it got reprinted in Collector Selection Volume 1, and like I said with the other ones, it's got a blue outline on all the text. Then we have the actual Broly. I think maybe these were promos similar to the ones before, if you went to see the Broly, Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. And then they were both reprinted as alternate arts in the Magnificent Collection, which is actually why I had these versions before I had these. I had to go back and get these. So yeah, these I used both these leaders when they first came out. Actually, I used this one for like a week or two. The like Gogeta Ramp, which I guess is making a bit of a comeback in the next set. They seem to be doing some red-blue Gogeta Ramp stuff again. And then I played this Broly leader as well, probably for like a month or two, up to the point that it got errated. I guess this is another leader that's been errated. I'm pretty sure this was also in the revision pack. But again, that version is not being made available in foil, so, and actually I'm not even sure which, it might be this artwork that was in the revision pack. Then here we have the Gogeta that was given out with the, I believe, the Switch version of Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission, or at least physical versions. I'm not sure what other platforms that game was released on. I know it's definitely on Switch. I actually have that game, but I got it on the PC digitally through Steam, so I just end up having to buy that card separately for the collection. So then we have the fourth draft box leader, and this is when they switched over to the new system that they do. Or, well, I say they do, but it's been a while since we've had a draft box. But they switched to doing one single leader that is in every... No, I think you still get 4 copies of the leader in the draft box, but it's the same one, and there's only one, and it works with every colour. Has like a permanent that you can treat as all the other colours, or at least all the non-black colours that it is. I think they usually exclude black on those leaders for some reason. Then we get to the Surge Broly leader, which was a promo given out at the Surge expansion events that I attended, but originally they were only, all the cards in those promo packs were only non-foil. So these are, I only have the reprinted alternate art versions, because those are the ones that were made available in foil, like this one was. And down here we have the Mythic booster version. Yeah, and then we also, for the Mythic booster, the Kefla that came out at the same time as that Broly. That was also reprinted in the Mythic booster. So this was actually the last promo leader to be made available in foil for the first time. because up to then that was like the only hole in the collection was the original non-foil version of the Kevlar. Then we have the leader from Dropbox 5, and we have they started doing pre-release promo leaders with the Goku. Yeah, no, so this, because this has to do with the Unison, so this must have been after the Set 9 reboots. They were the original reboot leaders. This was the first one after that. You can see I've got a space here for, this is going to be in Collector's Selection Volume 2. There's an art version, so that's where that is going to go. Then we have another pre-release one from, so if this was 10, this must be 11. Then we have the most recent Dropbox leader from Giant Force, and it's actually the only one that actually bought a box of. I didn't get any Dropbox 4 or 5, so, but I did get a box of Giant Force, so I think that was the first box I ever bought of like a set. It was back before I had a YouTube channel, so I didn't do an opening for it on camera, but yeah. Then we have so if this was 10, this was 11, this must have been for set 12, the Mecha Freezer reboot, and this is the most recent leader to be banned. Then we had the Revival, well this one says Revival, what's this one say? Returns. This was from the pack you got with set 12 maybe? Yeah, no, it must have been 12 because it won 13. And I actually pulled the announcer. That's actually in a video. You can see me pull this announcer. This one isn't in a sleeve for some reason. I ended up just going back and buying the big ammo. Then we have, this must be the one from set 13 then. And then we have the Raditz from set 14. And so I guess the next promo leader we're going to get is probably the pre-release one for set 15, and that'll go there. So that's it for the collection. I got tons of pages here. Let's very quickly show off, because I think on the last page or last 2 pages maybe, I have some of the double leaders. Yeah, so these, I believe, most if not all of the leaders that I have 2 of. In some cases it was double buy-in, but with like these 2 here, I think even these 2 here, I already had bought all the leaders that I needed from the set and then pulled them from a pack. So that was kind of unfortunate, but I think the rest were all ones that I've double bought. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Go ahead and leave a like if you enjoyed it. I know it's a long one. Thanks for sticking with it if you did get all the way to the end. I don't know when I'm going to do another update for this, because like I say, this set is kind of complete, so I'll probably wait for at least another 3 or 4 kind of sets to come out and get all the cards, all the leaders from those, and then maybe do a quick update where I just show the new ones rather than go through it all again. But yeah, like I say, thanks for sticking with it. If you did get all the way to the end, go ahead and subscribe to the channel to be notified when new videos come out, and thanks for watching.